Imagine just saving every single penny for 33 years, right? All to buy your ultimate untethered dream.
Oh, the classic dream.
Right, a life of absolute freedom on a luxury sailboat. But then imagine day one of that dream finally arrives.
Yeah.
And instead of sipping a cocktail while you're gliding over crystal clear waters, you are standing knee-deep in a foul-smelling, mold-covered wreck.
Ugh, the reality check.
In a Texas boatyard, no less.
Yeah.
And you're just realizing you have to fix every single thing yourself.
It's just the ultimate collision, really, between that whole Instagram fantasy of, quitting the rat race and the gritty, uncompromising reality of actually doing it.
So today, we are looking at that brutal, fascinating reality of what happens after you actually throw your laptop into the ocean and just walk away.
Which we all want to do some days.
Exactly. And our source material for this deep dive is a phenomenal email draft dated exactly today, actually May 25, 2026.
Right.
It contains these extensive excerpts from an article by Sylvia Marchetti titled Living the Dream. And it profiles this couple, Charly Oliver and Michelle Denton, who managed to pull off the ultimate escape.
They really did. They sold the house, bought a boat, and just completely severed ties with their old terrestrial life.
But our mission today isn't to just, read you a glossy travel diary.
No, not at all.
We are going to treat their story as a masterclass in extreme, long-term lifestyle design. We really need to peel back the layers of those gorgeous sunset photos and analyze the stark realities.
The physical labor.
Yes, the labor, the psychological endurance required to actually sustain this life. Because beneath the surface, this is a profound study in extreme risk mitigation and, frankly, delayed gratification.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really understand the magnitude of their escape, you have to understand the modern trap they were escaping from.
Right.
Denton describes her past life as a lawyer, and the details are, frankly, deeply claustrophobic.
Oh, claustrophobic is the perfect word for it. We're talking about a professional who barely managed to scrape together, 2 weeks of vacation time each entire year.
And even when she did take time off, it felt rushed, burdened by that impending return to the office.
Yeah, she couldn't even align her schedule with her friends just to sit down for a Tuesday night dinner. It is that classic, suffocating trap where you are supposedly highly successful on paper, right? But you have absolutely zero ownership of your own time.
And historically, that specific feeling of being trapped by your own success is what triggers the classic midlife crisis.
Oh, totally. The sports car.
Right, it sparks the impulsive purchase of the sports car or the sudden ill-advised career change or some dramatic relocation.
Yeah.
But what elevates this story from a cliche into a masterclass in lifestyle architecture is the sheer timeline involved.
The timeline is what stops you in your tracks, because in a culture completely obsessed with overnight success, this was the furthest thing from an impulsive pivot.
Not at all.
Michelle Denton actually architected a 30-year plan for frugal living and early retirement when she was still sitting in a law school classroom.
A 40-year plan. Just think about that.
And when she and Oliver got married back in 2004, she laid out this massive decades-long blueprint, and he agreed to pursue it with her.
This raises an important question. What kind of psychological endurance does that require?
I mean, an unbelievable amount.
To stick to a financial and lifestyle plan, day in and day out, for more than 3 decades, you are talking about resisting lifestyle creep in a society that constantly pressures you to upgrade.
Yeah, resisting the urge to buy the newer car, the bigger house, the expensive watches for 3 entire decades.
All for a goal that remains completely abstract until the very end.
I look at their process and I just think about the life hacks and the quick tips you see constantly flooding your feed. We all want the immediate result.
We do.
But building a dream of this magnitude isn't a hack. It's like constructing a massive skyscraper.
That's a great analogy.
You don't just magically appear in the penthouse with the incredible view. You have to spend 33 years digging a massive, invisible, muddy foundation of pure frugality.
Down in the mud.
Exactly. Every time your peers take a lavish weekend trip, you are down in the mud pouring concrete. Every time someone buys a luxury SUV, you are digging deeper.
They lived below their means for a third of a century, and they finally sold their home in Boulder, Colorado, and hit the retirement button in 2016.
Which, incredibly, was 3 years ahead of her original 40-year schedule.
But to execute that, the level of alignment required in a marriage is staggering. Having a shared, uncompromising vision is the only way a radical life pivot like this survives the friction of daily life.
Right, because if one person wavers.
Exactly. If one partner simply gets tired of saving and wants to enjoy their money now, the entire architecture of that skyscraper collapses.
It all falls apart.
They had this shared dream since they first met in the 1990s, to eventually live on a sailboat and explore the world. That shared anchor is the exact mechanism that kept the 33-year discipline intact.
So, they pour the concrete for 33 years. Execution day finally arrives. They hit the button, they retire, and they are ready to step into the penthouse.
But this is where the story takes a very sharp, very necessary turn away from the glossy brochures.
Oh, yeah, because they initially tried to buy a luxury yacht, which is what anyone would picture, right?
Right.
Instead, what they ended up purchasing in Galveston Bay, Texas in 2016 was a mold-covered wreck.
Which is such a visceral collision with reality.
It is the ultimate wake-up call. Imagine the sensory reality of that moment. You've saved your entire adult life.
Yeah.
You walk onto the boat that is supposed to represent your ultimate freedom, and you are hit with the smell of mildew, rotting wood, and the crushing realization that your life of leisure is actually going to start with months of grueling physical labor.
Scrubbing fiberglass and rebuilding systems. Just brutal.
That moldy boat became Rascal, their 41-foot floating home. And eventually, they did get it running. They took it along the Gulf Coast of Florida, then from the Keys down into the Bahamas.
And for a decade, they spent their winters, November through April, exploring incredible locations.
Yeah, places like the Abacos, the 30-island chain of the Berry Islands, Conception Island, and the incredibly remote Isle of Mayaguana.
And when Denton sums up the lifestyle, she focuses on the freedom and working with nature. But Oliver offers a quote that cuts through the romance entirely.
Oh, I love this quote.
He explicitly states, it's not just sunsets and cocktails.
That quote is the anchor for this entire deep dive, because I really look at this and question the core concept of freedom. Like, is it actually freedom if you are constantly fixing a clogged marine toilet while the boat is pitching 30 degrees?
And you are entirely at the mercy of the weather.
Right. To me, it seems like they simply traded one demanding, high-pressure boss, the law firm, for a much more volatile, ruthless boss, the ocean.
That is a highly accurate assessment of the mechanics of sailing. The ocean does not care about your 40-year plan.
It really doesn't.
And it certainly does not care about your schedule. To understand this, we have to dissect the reality of their challenges. The article mentions a bad weather crossing of the Gulf Stream.
Which sounds terrifying.
It is. Mechanically speaking, the Gulf Stream isn't just a patch of water. It is a massive, incredibly powerful thermal river flowing within the ocean, moving rapidly through the Straits of Florida and up the eastern coast.
Wow.
When the wind blows against the direction of that current, it stands the water up into steep, violent, square-shaped waves.
Square-shaped waves, that sounds unnatural.
It is genuinely dangerous. A bad crossing there isn't just an uncomfortable afternoon where you spill your coffee. It is a physically battering experience.
And Oliver notes that the weather is a massive problem even when they are just parked. You can't even fully relax when the boat is anchored.
Precisely, because the anchor can drag. The wind can shift in the middle of the night and push you toward a reef.
That's a nightmare.
Now, Oliver previously worked in the industrial safety sector, which is highly relevant here. He inherently understands risk mitigation.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
He explains that living on the water requires a hyper-vigilant mindset at all times. You have to constantly engage in forward planning. You are checking weather routing, monitoring battery voltages, watching the barometer.
He explicitly reminds anyone attempting this, you don't go anywhere fast.
And furthermore, out there is no maintenance guy to call.
You can't just pull up an app.
No. If a fan belt snaps on the diesel engine or a raw water pump fails, you are the one in the hot, cramped engine room fixing it.
But surviving those Gulf Stream storms and the constant mechanical failures requires more than just a sturdy hull. It requires a complete dismantling of how a normal person lives day to day.
Absolutely.
Because they are constantly at the mercy of this volatile environment, they simply cannot rely on modern conveniences. And that constant friction forces a radically simple daily routine.
Which inadvertently solves the massive financial puzzle of how they actually afford to sustain this life for decades.
Yes, that is the crucial pivot point. The physical demands of the environment directly enforce the economics of the lifestyle.
So what does this all mean? Even if you never have any intention of stepping foot on a sailboat, the way they structured their internal economy is brilliant.
They live incredibly simply on board. Denton points out they have a tiny, highly inefficient oven.
Right.
Their digital communication with the outside world is throttled through a limited, weather-dependent satellite internet link. Most importantly, they generate all the energy they need themselves.
We're talking about relying on solar panel banks, maybe a wind generator, and meticulously rationing their power consumption.
So they don't have to listen to the loud hum of a backup diesel generator all night.
And notice the specific infrastructure they actively avoid. Denton explains they go out of their way to avoid marinas. They strongly prefer to anchor out in secluded bays.
Why is that distinction so important?
Because a marina is essentially a luxury parking lot on the water. When you pull into a marina, you are paying rent.
Ah, right.
You are paying to plug into their unlimited shore power. You are paying to use their pressurized water hoses, and you are paying for the easy access to walk right onto land. It drains the cruising budget incredibly fast.
That makes total sense.
Anchoring out, dropping your own heavy hook into the sand in a remote bay, is completely free. It is harder. You have to generate your own power. You have to use a water maker to desalinate ocean water for drinking.
You have to make your own water.
Yeah, and you have to take a tiny dinghy just to get to shore, but it protects the financial foundation.
And she also casually mentions they never eat out at restaurants. Partly, of course, to protect that 33-year savings pile, but also because, as she dryly notes, out where they are anchored, there simply aren't any restaurants around to tempt them anyway.
The environment removes the temptation of consumerism entirely.
Which leaves them with a tremendous amount of resources for the rest of the year, because we haven't even touched on their summers yet.
Right, the other half of the year.
During the winter months, they are deeply isolated on this boat in the Bahamas. But during the summer, they leave the vessel behind and globetrot on land. They have visited 36 countries across Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas.
It is this extreme, intentional pendulum swing.
You have deep, frugal, demanding isolation on the water for half the year, followed by expansive, worldly, comfortable travel on land for the other half.
What's fascinating here is how this demanding, frugal lifestyle actually acts as a biological mechanism for vitality. It functions as an anti-aging protocol.
Wait, really? So by constantly subjecting themselves to physical labor, fixing broken engines, and battling unpredictable weather, they are actually hacking their biological age.
Yeah.
That seems entirely counterintuitive when we usually equate retirement with resting.
It seems counterintuitive until you look at the mechanics of human aging.
Yeah.
Think about the physical and mental demands we just discussed. When you live on a 41-foot sailboat, you are constantly balancing your body on a moving surface that actively engages your core and preserves your sense of balance.
You never stop moving.
Right. You are hauling heavy lines, you are contorting yourself to fix mechanical issues, and you are constantly learning new weather patterns and navigation software, which forces neuroplasticity. You are never, ever passive.
Wow. And Denton is now 57, and she firmly believes the lifestyle keeps them young. She even quotes Clint Eastwood, who famously said about aging, "I don't let the old man in."
So instead of retreating to a comfortable recliner on a golf course where everything is automated for them, the physical friction of the boat is exactly what keeps them sharp.
But it isn't just the physical labor, is it? It's the way they've structured their society.
Exactly. The scientific literature on longevity continually points to two massive non-negotiable factors for aging well: physical mobility, which we just covered, and strong, deeply rooted social connections.
And their boat life forcefully provides both.
It really does. Over the past decade, they've become part of this intense, tight-knit community of boaters. When they are anchored out in these remote locations, they aren't just sitting in the cabin.
They meet up with other crews for beach yoga. They organize dances and folklore festivals. They do open water swimming together or play bocce ball on the beach.
It sounds like an adult summer camp, but with actual life or death stakes.
Because these are the same people who will jump into a dinghy at 2 in the morning to help you if your anchor drags toward a reef. The community isn't just for bocce ball, it is literally their emergency services department.
That is the perfect way to contextualize it. It is a tribe built on mutual reliance. They are physically maintaining their existence, and they are deeply engaging with a network of like-minded people who completely understand the specific hardships they chose.
But here is the reality of long-term planning. Even a perfectly executed 33-year dream isn't a static object.
No, it can't be.
People change. Bodies age, curiosities shift, and as the couple changes, the vessel that carries them must evolve as well. Which brings us to the latest, arguably most strategic chapter of their story.
The pivot.
The pivot. Here's where it gets really interesting. In 2023, after a full decade of sailing the Bahamas, they made a massive architectural change to their lifestyle.
They bought a house.
They bought a physical home in Cle Elum, Washington, near the Cascade Mountains, to serve as a permanent land base between their trips. They are actively selling their beloved sailboat, Rascal.
Big move.
And in its place, they have purchased a new 34-foot motor yacht.
Which they are, of course, naming Motor Yacht Rascal.
You absolutely have to keep the legacy alive. But I look at this shift from a sailboat to a motor yacht, and it perfectly mirrors a major software update.
A software update.
Yeah, it's like moving from an open source operating system where you have to manually code every single movement based on the wind to a closed system software. They aren't abandoning the Dream, they are upgrading to Dream 2.0.
Ah, I see.
The new boat is significantly smaller, meaning the living quarters are more restricted. But the mechanical capabilities it unlocks are completely different. It is trailerable. And they are no longer held hostage by seasonal wind patterns.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the absolute brilliance here is their lack of ego regarding their own plan.
Oh, that's a really good point.
It is so incredibly easy to become trapped by your own dream. You spend 33 years planning to be a sailor. You tie your entire identity to the sails, the rigging, and the romance of the wind.
You become the sailing couple.
Exactly. But they looked at their reality and realized that relying on sails and wind meant they were geographically trapped. They were forced to wait for winter to safely sail the tropics. By switching the mechanics from sail to motor, they completely changed the game.
Because a motor yacht can cut straight into a headwind that would take a sailboat days to tack against.
And a motor yacht has a much shallower draft, meaning the bottom of the boat doesn't go as deep underwater, allowing them to tuck into tiny, shallow coves that a deep-keeled sailboat could never access.
They sacrificed some living space, but they unlocked an entirely new map of the world.
And the specific new geography they are targeting is breathtaking. Because it's trailerable, they can bypass brutal ocean passages by simply pulling the boat down the highway.
That is so smart.
They are now targeting cooler northern destinations during the summer. We are talking about navigating Desolation Sound and the Gulf Islands in British Columbia.
Wow.
They can explore Alaska's Prince William Sound, the San Juan Islands in Washington State, and they plan to trailer the boat across the country to head over to Maine and Nova Scotia in the near future.
This is a vital high-level lesson for anyone planning a long-term goal. Do not be dogmatic about your own blueprints. True success is allowing your dreams to evolve as your mechanical needs and your curiosities change.
It is just such a remarkable journey to step back and analyze.
If you are listening to this right now and mapping out your own life, think about the sheer architectural discipline we just covered. An unwavering 33-year savings plan executed flawlessly without falling victim to lifestyle creep.
Having the mental resilience to survive the crushing reality of a mold-covered wreck on day one.
Navigating the brutal physical mechanics of Gulf Stream storms. Finding an actual biological fountain of youth in a tight-knit boater community playing Bosch on remote beaches.
And finally, having the strategic wisdom to adapt the dream, to let go of the identity of the sailboat and embrace a trailerable motor yacht when it was time to unlock a brand new chapter of the map.
It forces a complete reframing of what we actually want out of our later years.
It really does. Which leaves me with a final lingering question to ponder as we wrap up.
Okay, let's hear it.
We look at Denton and Oliver, and we see that the true secret to them staying young, both physically and mentally, is the constant friction of nature. It's the necessity of fixing their own engine. It's the physical act of hauling an anchor. It's continually redefining their lifestyle and learning new maps. It makes you wonder, does achieving a completely stress-free, easy retirement on a golf course, where every friction is removed, actually age us faster? Is the ultimate dream not a state of perpetual rest, but rather a state of chosen, meaningful struggle?
A state of chosen struggle.
Yeah.
That is an incredibly profound way to look at it. Because fixing a broken water pump in a cramped engine room while it's raining is undeniably hard, but it is a hardness that you explicitly chose on your own terms.
Exactly.
Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive. I highly encourage you to carry that perspective into whatever 40-year plan you might be building for yourselves. So the next time you are staring at that spreadsheet, your inbox is pinging, and you are tempted to throw your laptop directly into the ocean. Remember, escaping the rat race is only step one.
Just step one.
Building a sustainable life out there on the water requires an entirely different, intensely rewarding kind of work. Keep dreaming, keep adapting your plans, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.